Well, I wanted to talk about 3 pieces of food plot equipment that you need to have. And you notice I'm standing next to this nice pretty tractor right here, and this is one of my favorites actually, this PTO mounted broadcaster, but this is not part of the 3 necessary pieces of equipment. The brush hog, awesome. Not part of the necessary pieces of equipment. Sorry to Kubota. We love our Kubotas. We have an RTV over here too, but you don't have to have a tractor to have great food plots. In fact, we'll plant about, I'm just say roughly 16 acres in Wisconsin and Minnesota, about 13 acres here this year, and we will not be using a tractor for any of that. And there's really good ways to plant food plots without this giant equipment right here. Let's go over here to where that is. And I can say, you know, 2/3 of our plots here, we will, which is about 13 acres, we will plant without a tractor. We will plant some with a tractor because we have a new blend that has to be drilled. It's a July drilling, and you can drill it. You can also disc it in, but it has to be covered with seed. And I can't wait to, I think we're gonna call it the McGreen blend, but it's a really cool mix that goes back over 20 years. The first time I planted it in 2003, somewhere around there. A guy named Mike McFadden on the west or east side of the UP in Michigan shared this blend with me that was buckwheat, soybeans, peas, and we're adding a little tillage radish to it. So we'll talk all about that in future food plot videos and for our Pure Wildlife blends, but check that out. It'll be available by the end of April for sure, maybe the 3rd week of April. So we'll have that coming out pretty soon, but we'll actually have that drilled in. That seed needs to be covered. Outside of that though, we're gonna plant about 16 acres this year, including 19 acres of buckwheat, 22 acres of buckwheat, without using any of that. We're gonna use a bag spreader, sprayer, and a Packer Max Cultipacker. Those 3. That's all you need. You don't even need the ATV because you can use a hand backpack sprayer. You don't have to have the ATV sprayer. You can see in our Kubota over here, we have an RTV and we have a side-by-side sprayer, but you don't have to have that side-by-side equipment. This 4-wheeler, I've even had people say, well, it's a fancy 4-wheeler. I paid $3,400 for this in about 2018, 19, right around there. And what's that?
That was here before I was.
Oh, was it really?
Oh, yeah.
So that would have been like 2015 then. Wow, the time did go by. But it is a 2007 or maybe 6, right around there. So it's pretty old, but I paid $3,400 on it for it. We've kept it going. And so you don't need something that's the latest, greatest, and biggest. A lot of us hunters like to get that, but you don't need it. Bottom line, that sprayer has been wonderful. And we use a sprayer because that helps open up the soil. We spray once in the springtime, we get our buckwheat on the ground, and then we spray at the end of the buckwheat. Why spray? Because we have hills around here, and we have erosion that's terrible out in these ag fields. It's just like the farmers, we don't want to till if we don't have to. So tilling, repeated tilling, disking around here causes soil erosion. You know, soil around here used to be several feet. Now we're down to about 15 inches, a foot. And they say within another 50 years, they've been farming for about 160 around here, there'll be a complete loss of topsoil if farmers don't go completely to no-till. So we're doing no-till on our property. That's one of the reasons. Also, we want to control our weeds. The farmers around here use multiple herbicides and sprayings and pesticides. We don't. We use herbicide just to control our weeds, and we have some really problem weeds. If you have 50% weeds in your food plot, you're going to have about 90% loss of targeted crop within your food plots. That's why. We don't have food plotters out there. We're not planting hundreds of acres, dozens of acres typically. You want to get the most out of what you have, so we want to control weeds so that we actually can plant without tilling, without eroding our fields and getting multiple crops in between. We're actually spreading rye. We can use our bag spreader for that. This Earthway spreader. This has been my favorite one, and I've tried all. I've tried the bucket spreaders. I've tried other brands. In the Earthway, they went through some bad brands over the last 3 years, but we really talked them back into, we worked really hard for them to get the OG version back, which is what we do. We use a spraying because then we can spray and rotate crops. So we'll have rye in the spring. We actually have rye that was there last year. And then Wes over here, Wes, you're spreading rye soon.
Yes,
So Wes is gonna spread rye, get it on the property. I have a client trip coming up, and we're shooting for about 100 pounds per acre, which would be one seed about every 2 inches. If you don't know Wes actually goes to properties on our behalf. Dylan does too, Joe and Kevin, but Wes is part of the team. And then Wes manages our seed business, which we run right here. And so Wes ships thousands of packages a year across the country. We ship to 48 states a year. I don't think we've sent any to Alaska and Hawaii. Nope. But every other state, every other state though. So Wes does that and works for us and works with us on the farm here. So we couldn't get it done on the farm without Wes, let alone the seed company, just because we have so much to do around here. So we have to do things efficiently, and that's what all this is about. So Wes also ships out these Earthway bag spreaders. We like the OG version enough that we get these from Earthway by the pallet. We send them out. We actually have stickers that we're developing so that all 19s of our seeds, you know what setting to actually set your Earthway spreader on. There's a sticker that'll go on the bottom right here, and it'll replace the Earthway sticker. So we'll stick that right there so you guys know exactly what setting to set it on. We put the settings you should set it on our website for all our seed blends. But I like this because we jam this full of seed. Because it's more of a plastic bag, then that vinyl bag can stand up stiff, so I can actually pour seed into that. When we first started, we had those cloth bags and they just flatten right down like this. So I'm not saying this is perfect, but it's rigid enough, and you can see how used and worn this thing is. It's rigid enough that it'll stand up, that I can get like a 50-pound bag of seed, put it on my knee and pour it right in, and as it fills, it even gets better when you're putting the seed in there. I like these because we can throw them around. They're flat. I can stick them on top of a bag of seed right here. I don't have this dumb carton, gallon, bucket, jug that sits there that I have to slash down. We don't have time for that kind of stuff. I want to be able to throw it in the back of the side-by-side. If I just have a flat area in between seed, I want to just stick it in there and go. So it's really easy to use. We know the settings, it's very consistent, so it spreads well, and we use that. So we're using this to spread on roughly 16 acres this year of our green fall blends. We run all through this right here. Easy to send fertilizer through there too. In 1 year, I've sent over 7,000 pounds through one of these. These are not spreaders that'll last a decade. They're spreaders that'll last 7,000 or 8,000 pounds. So whether that's 2 or 3 years for you, if you're not throwing them around, you don't bend this, then they're pretty decent. But it's a throwaway spreader, something you can have for a few years. It's not something you're gonna have for a decade or more, unless you plant very, very little seed. I like this model. It's been my favorite one over the last 20 years, which is why we sell it, just as a convenience for you too. That works great because we can plant our rye, we can plant our buckwheat, and we can plant our fall crops. We can spray in between those to control weeds at whatever level we have to. That's a completely different topic and another video. And then we have the cultipacker. This cultipacker right here, I've used like the cheap ATV spreaders. And cheap ATV spreader meaning, Dylan, did we use that for 2 hours? Our cultipacker, I mean?
Yeah, maybe.
It was one that you can buy it like TSC and all those places, and it's got pop metal disc on it, and it just it's a cultipacker, but it broke within the first 2 hours. It's just cheap. And this something right here, Lincoln from Michigan, Packer Max, he came up with this idea. It's the original. I've heard they've had some copycats, which I can't stand copycats. That's the way of the world, I guess. But the original is Packer Max. Lincoln came up from this. And again, I can't stand copycats of any nature. Do your own thing, you know. But this has been awesome because you either had my first cultipacker was from Sweet's Farm Equipment down in Kentucky. I had that shipped up to me in the UP of Michigan because I couldn't find any. It cost more in freight than it did for the cultipacker. We actually split it in half, so we got 2 out of them because it was a double row cultipacker. And that was a high quality old McCormick. And that McCormick, probably with that kind of metal, would cost $2,500, $3,000. So for a fraction of that, you can buy something like this, but they make them with a very heavy duty frame and axle. What's great about this is this fills with water. So you get about 450 pounds out of this unit right here. So there's a lot of pounds per square inch, and you get a great covering. This is perfect because it's 4 feet, so perfect width for behind an ATV like this if you want it. And garden tractor, pull it with your pickup truck, car, whatever it is, it pulls really easily. And you probably have some piece of equipment, even a lawn tractor, like right there, that can pull it really easily, or a cheaper lawn tractor, a simple ATV, pretty easy to pull. So I like this because what we're using this for is when we get to buckwheat time and planting at the end of July, we're taking this, we're smashing down all our buckwheat, we're spraying at the same time, and then we're planting. And so we don't have to disc, till. In fact, this is our 6th year of planting out here in Minnesota on this property, and we have never tilled, disked, or plowed. We've been doing it since 2014. In Wisconsin, we don't till, disc, or plow, and you kind of see the kind of the pattern of what we do. But we don't need to disc, till, or plow, and I don't want to. I don't want to erode the soil. I don't want to bring up more weed seeds. And there's a lot of reasons. I don't want to dry out the soil. And so by using the buckwheat and using this type of rotation, we can do that. And it's a really good practice. So this Call-to-Packer, for the price, is very good. And the weight they get from this, instead of using a lot of really good steel, then you're using this tank that we fill up with water. It gives a lot of great weight to it. It rolls really well. And then what we also use is we have a 6-foot version we use behind the side-by-side. So, you know, the side-by-side is of course an extra piece of equipment. They have some really good ones. We have a Polaris Ranger, we have that Kubota. They have some cheap versions of Kawasaki. Wes was a sales manager at the power sports dealership Jen worked at. And what is that model of Kawasaki that's a smaller side-by-side? It's like a 450cc or 400cc. Isn't it SX?
Yeah, it's an SX.
Kawasaki SX, and that one is more along the price of a nice ATV, 4-wheeler.
Yep.
And
it's a solid axle on it too, so it's not even as nice as a Polaris
as far as comfort.
Yep.
Yeah, the Ranger's a lot more comfortable, but that Kawasaki's a nice little small cheap one if you're looking for something to get you into the market without breaking the bank, like maybe a Ranger that costs a little bit more or something a little bit more full size. But bottom line is, between this right here, and we use that heavily, we'll have right around 19 acres of buckwheat that we'll plant Memorial Day. We'll do that. We can do that all with a hand spreader if we want to. We smash it all down with this. We spray it. We can use this 4-footer with this right here, which is perfect. 25-gallon sprayer. We can spray 2 acres at a time. You get a 15-gallon sprayer, about 1.5 acres, a little over an acre, and that's not bad. And then of course you can use a backpack sprayer. But between the sprayer, the Earthway spreader, and this, that's really all you need. And we can use that to plant 19 acres for us this year. And I hope that helps you out. And yeah, the Kicking Bear event. I was going to lead into that, but we'll have the Kicking Bear event this year right here. What's the Kicking Bear event? It's a charity event that we have every year. This will be our 5th year. We've had some other events in the past too for Kicking Bear, but at our house here with a Habitat Day, you can come see everything we do here. We talk about it. We have the event right here in a Pro building. We have Ray Howe here as a speaker. You can bring your kids for free. It's $250 for the Habitat portion, $100 to get into the hunt raffle. We have someone come here the end of September for 3 days, hunt 3 nights with us, spend the time with us and our family. We pull that winner at that time. Every dime we raise plus some goes to Kicking Bear. We have porta potties here. We have lunch, a little bit of a breakfast, coffee. It's a really cool event. It's on Father's Day weekend, starts at 10 a.m. We'd love to see you. Spaces are limited for that. We had 43 kids here a couple years ago. So Kicking Bear is here, takes the kids. They have tug of war, water balloon fights, marshmallow fights. They shoot bows, throw hatchets, coloring, everything else. The kids all get prizes too. We have some fabulous, incredible door prizes, including Lincoln. He's a great man, and he gives away one of these Packer Maxes. Redneck, all of our partners, we get a Redneck Ghillie blind. I'm going to forget, but reveal trail cameras. Matthews gives a bow. First Light gives an outfit. Family Tradition gives a tree stand. Dylan, I know I'm forgetting stuff. I hate that. Hunter Safety Systems has given stuff to us in the past. Everybody we work with gives us stuff for door prizes, and it's all a lot of really good stuff. And I apologize if I forgot some things with that. Big Rock Trees gives away cuttings and shrubs, gift certificates for that. So Chad Garteski from Weiss Realty has been here to give away a youth bow or youth gun, during that event. I think a youth bow, but we have everybody give for that, and so it's a great event. And what's really cool this year, it's our 5th year. We should surpass. We've been over 80,000 for the first 4 years. That means that'll put us above 100,000 at this event. We've given over $20,000 on average each year. And again, every dime goes to Kicking Bear. Kicking Bear is a great organization that gets a bow in a kid's hand. Their mission statement is to get a bow in a kid's hand and lead them and their family to the Lord. Gets kids in the outdoors. They have great events of up to 800 kids at a time or more. And they bring those kids in from the Y all over the place and really get kids exposed to the outdoors that otherwise wouldn't. Or they get kids that already love the outdoors in there, and they have events all around the country. So what a great organization. It supports a way for us to give back and you to participate too, and I hope to see you.